Okay, good evening everyone. Welcome to our February scheduled meeting for the Rural City of Wangaratta. And the Rural City of Wangaratta, clause 24 of the governance rules provides the following. This public meeting is being recorded to improve access to the meeting for our community. The recording will be published and will be retained by Council in accordance with the Council's legal obligations. As a visitor to the public gallery, your presence may be recorded. It is my privilege to respectfully acknowledge the traditional custodians of our wonderful country. We give our thanks to all our ancestors whose vision, determination, innovation and resilience built our prosperous, inclusive and democratic country. We acknowledge that we are the proud inheritors of this legacy, and we accept the challenge to continue to nourish and nurture our communities. And we pledge to work to implement and enhance opportunities for the benefit of future generations, our children and their children into the future. The opening prayer, ladies and gentlemen. Almighty God, we humbly ask Thee to bless and guide this Council in its deliberations, so that we may truly preserve the welfare of the people whom we serve. Amen. We now move to item number 5. Do you have any apologies or granting of leave of absence? Okay, we then move to item number 7, which is the confirmation of the minutes. And we have a recommendation that Council has read and confirmed the minutes of the scheduled meeting of the 16th of December and the unscheduled meeting of the 17th of February as a true and accurate record of the proceedings of the meetings. I have got an issue with the scheduled meeting of the 16th of December, which doesn't accurately record the acknowledgement that I gave on that particular night. So
I'll move the minutes of that amendment to be corrected.
Thank you.
And it's 16th instead of 14th.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you, Councillor Benton. Would someone like to second? Councillor Fitzpatrick, thank you. Councillors, we all in agreement? Thank you. That's been moved. We now move to item number 9, which is the reception of petitions, and item 9.1, which is the Visitor Information Centre. And I'll ask the Interim Chief Executive Officer to present this, please.
Thank you. Council received a petition with 29 signatures requesting that a Visitor Information Centre in Wangaratta be restored. It's recommended that Council receive the petition and refer the petition to the CEO for consideration and response.
Councillors, we have a recommendation. Would someone like to move that, please? Councillor Russell. Someone to second, please. Councillor Fitzpatrick. Councillors, everyone in agreement? We receive the petition and the CEO will deal with that in due course. We now move to item number 11, which is Council reports, and I have a report here tonight, and it is my great pleasure on behalf of the Rural City of Wangaratta to announce that we have appointed a new CEO, and he is Matt Nelson, and he will begin his duties on the 13th of April 2026. Mr Nelson brings more than 25 years experience across local, state and Commonwealth government, with extensive experience in strategic leadership, advocacy, sustainable regional growth and complex project delivery. He has a long-standing professional and personal connection to Wangaratta in the North East, having worked with council and regional partners on key initiatives including Ryde High Country, Prosecco Road and the Nested Development Project. And through his involvement in regional sport as president of the North East Bushrangers Basketball Club, which is affiliated with the Wangaratta Basketball Association. So we're really very delighted to be able to appoint Matt Nelson to the role of CEO of the Rural City of Wangaratta. And and that I would also like to mimic our deep gratitude to the interim CEO, Stephen Swart, for the support and assistance that he's given to council in the time that he's been interim CEO. So thank you, Stephen. I now move to item number 13.1, which is the 2025-2026 Q2 forecast review, and I ask the Director of Corporate and Leisure to give that report, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Council's completed its second quarter financial reporting process to manage and monitor our performance against the 25-26 budget. In this quarter, Council's forecasting a decrease to the full year accounting result of $9.47 million. This is primarily driven by the exit of the licence agreement with the Coastal and the write-off of assets from prior year projects being capitalised. There are other contributing factors to this result, including unfavourable contributions of grants of $834,000, an unfavourable movement of user fees of $950,000, an unfavourable movement of cash capital of $735,000, and there's also been some favourable movements that have offset some of these movements overall. This is a snapshot in time, and the report is presented to Council to provide this update. The recommendation is the Council approves the 25-26 Q2 forecast review, including the decrease in the projected full year accounting result of $3.78 million surplus to a $5.69 million deficit, and the decrease in capital works expenditure by $281,000 to $22,037,000, largely due to the deferral of the Sports and Aquatic Power Efficiency project to align with the contract timelines.
Thank you, Tom. Is there a question from the audience on this particular agenda item? Councillors, we have a recommendation. Would someone like to move? Thank you, Councillor Clinton. Thank you, Councillor Maxwell. Councillor Benjamin, would you like to speak to the recommendation?
Yeah, I would just like to reiterate the figure that's there of $9.1 million is rather complex when you go into it. So it's really an expenditure, as the bulk of it is mainly around the licence agreement with the car park, high-rise car park, which in the long term will be the saving, and we hopefully a fair amount of saving to it. And I think it's been a shackle around councils being able to go move forward, and I think that's something that's got to be read into it. We just don't read the full contents about how it is going to save us going forward, because we were already paying $500,000 a year virtually in around 2 years of that lease agreement. In relation to other things, there's been grants that haven't been coming through when we have expected it, and some of those could as well be just timing at this point in time that they've been done. So it might be a $9.5 million figure, but I am quite comfortable in moving forward and projecting ourselves forward. We've got a fairly good grip, I think, where we're going to land in the future. The only other thing I will say this, and I said to the Mayor earlier today, I won't say anything about it. The word depreciation really gets up my nose when we start reading these financial figures, and it's just run away. Thank you.
Councillor Benton lies awake thinking of depreciation, I think. Councillor Maxwell.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just to speak to the recommendation, I certainly have concerns about the budget and the ramifications that it may have on our long-term financial position. Given the number of unfavourable decreases in income, such as operating grant movements, user fees, a tenancy vacancy and stadium hire, just to name a few, I would hope that our next budget will reflect an improvement on this financial position. But whilst there are decreases which may be out of our control and a revised budget is not warranted, I believe there are significant savings to be made in the future with the assistance of our new CEO, Matt Nelson, who takes the reins in April this year. Savings such as reducing legal fees, consultancy fees, and going back to our core business to ensure money spent is within our council remit. We have expended revenue which does not reflect community sentiment and evidence-based requirements. I will support this budget. However, I have concerns that this comes at the expense of providing our core roles and responsibilities to our community.
Thank you, Councillor Maxwell. Would anyone else like to speak either for or against the recommendation? I think Councillor Maxwell has put a very strong emphasis on core business, and I think it's becoming much more obvious that councils really will need to focus very much on what is the business of council. There are things that we would love to do, but I think as the budget indicates, there are things that we will not be able to do into the future. I too am comfortable to move this recommendation tonight. This is a snapshot in time, and I'm comfortable with that. I'm hoping that the next, in fact I'm confident that the next forecast review will show a much more favourable financial picture, and council will work very much on its core business to ensure that this is not just something that happens in 2026, this is something that will, as we move forward as a council, that we are able to meet the needs of our community and yet maintain our financial viability in the process. So, councillors, we have a recommendation that's moved by Councillor Linton and seconded by Councillor Maxwell. Are we all in favour? Thank you, councillors. We now move to item 13.2, which is the council plan performance quarter, and it's the Director of Corporate and Leisure once again. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you, Mayor. So Council routinely provides updates on our progress of Council plan actions, and this report is to provide an update on the Q2 actions. For the year, financial year or reporting period of 25-26, there are 37 actions, and each of those are currently on track, marked as progressing on track. Within this reporting period, there are some following actions which have taken place which are worth noting. Council officers have continued to review community facility usage, resulting in Warina Park facilities now being shared with 4 user groups. Through Victoria Health Funding, we've implemented healthy eating options at Children's Services Centre, and we've been successful in attracting a Community Energy Upgrade Fund grant worth over $500,000 from the federal government to transition the sports and aquatic from gas to electric thermal heat pumps, with the design of this project already commencing. Finally, we've had event growth including Vegfest, which has moved into its 3rd year. We've launched our Hello Summer campaign and delivered our New Year's Eve festivities with about 8,500 attendees at that event. So the recommendation is that Council notes the Q2 result for the Council Plan 25-26 actions as contained in the attached report.
Thank you. Thanks, Tom. Do we have a question from the audience on this particular agenda item? Okay, councillors, we have a recommendation. Would someone like to move, please? Councillor Fitzpatrick. Someone to second, please. Councillor Winters. Councillor Fitzpatrick, would you like to speak, please? Councillor, no. Councillor Winters, no. Any other councillor would you like to speak or make a comment? I actually just want to acknowledge the fact that there are now 4 user groups at Warina Park. I think that is really something worth highlighting. It's important that council obviously is able to provide facilities to its community groups, but I think also as a community group you've got to be willing to share too, because you know the facilities around the municipality are finite and limited, and I think if people are willing to share, it just makes it so much easier and better for everyone if you can share those facilities. And then also with the events growth and, just reminding everyone that, while our New Year's Eve festivities have been well received and fantastic, they do come at a cost, and council needs to consider very carefully, how much can we spend and how much we've got available to be able to spend on those types of celebrations. So as the year progresses, there are conversations that we'll have with the community around, what our New Year's Eve festivities will look like. So we have a recommendation that's been moved by Councillor Fitzpatrick and seconded by Councillor Winters. Are we all in agreement, councillors? Thank you. That's been moved. We now move to item 13.3, which is the instruments of appointment and authorisation. And Director of Corporate and Leisure once again.
Thank you again, Mayor. This report is presented to Council to approve the updated S11A and S11B instruments of appointment and authorisations under both the Planning and Environment Act 1987 and the Environment Protection Act 2017 respectively. Council regularly updates our suite of delegations to reflect changes in legislation, our operational capacity, efficiency and service delivery, and also staffing. The specific instruments of appointment and authorisation presented to Council today will help us ensure that we maintain suitably qualified Council representatives to undertake work enforcement provisions under both of those acts, being the Planning and Enforcement Act and the Environment Protection Act. The recommendation for this report is quite a long one. It's on the screen.
Thanks, Tom. Councillors, the audience, is there a question to this particular agenda item? If not, councillors, we have a recommendation. Would someone like to move, please? Yes, Councillor Winters, thank you. Councillor Benton to second. Councillor Winters, would you like to speak? No. Councillor Benton? No. It's a housekeeping issue and one that council obviously needs to have it brought before the council meeting. So, councillors, moved by Councillor Winters, seconded by Councillor Benton. Are we all in agreement, councillors? Thank you. That's been moved. We now move to item 14.1, which is the Community Asset Committee's Annual Report 2024 to 2025.
Thank you, Mayor Grant. This report is presented to Council to advise Council of the activities of the 13 Community Asset Committees during the 24-25 period, and is based on the maintenance and expenditure and improvements done at our community halls. This aligns us with the Local Government Act and the instruments of sub-delegation that it is now a requirement for council officers to report to council annually on the activities of all community asset committees. The recommendation is on the screen and it reads that council accepts the report on the activities of the community asset committees.
Thank you. We have a question from the audience on this particular agenda item? No. Councillors? Councillor Bustle? Somebody to second, please. Councillor Maxwell? Councillor Bustle, would you like to speak?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. So firstly, it's a good report. I want to thank the volunteers that volunteered for all these facilities, because without that, it wouldn't happen. I also want to thank the staff. There's been a lot of work done to help some of our struggling committees to get back on track. I think the staff have done a wonderful job there to create some templates and just shows some of these committees the way. And that's been very, very positive in recent times. So thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Bustle. Councillor Maxwell, would you like to speak? We have the attachment, which is confidential, so that doesn't go out to the community, Mr. CEO, and the state. Well, it actually made for very interesting reading, I have to say. And I reiterate the comments of Councillor Bustle that, these committees do an absolutely fantastic job for the community. And whenever we go to any of the facilities around, we are deeply impressed by the commitment shown to maintaining these assets in local communities. So well done, everyone. So Councillor Bussell and Councillor Maxwell to second. Councillors, are we all in agreement? The recommendation becomes a motion and is moved. We now move to item 14.2, which is T14476 recruitment labour hire services. Director Goonan.
Thank you, Mayor. This report is presented to Council to seek approval to award and extension of contract for recruitment labour hire services, including endorsement of the full contract term and associated expenditure, which is currently expected to exceed the CEO's financial delegation. The Royal City of Wangaratta engaged a panel of recruitment agencies for the provision of recruitment and labour hire services for permanent, temporary and casual staff for indoor and outdoor workforce, primarily used in the field services and waste space though. The tender was originally approved under CEO delegation. It is now clear that the original estimated spend will be exceeded over the 5-year period and will be over the CEO's delegation. Given this, we are seeking approval from Council for the remaining term of this contract. To ensure the ongoing service delivery is critical for RCO attracts and is able to mitigate staff shortages and also seasonal variances. And this tender allows us to do that. All costs paid out under this tender are fully funded through Council's existing budgets.
Thank you, Director Goonan. Is there a question from the audience on this particular item? Councillors, do you need someone to move? Recommendation. Councillor Benton. Someone to second. Councillor Fitzpatrick. Councillor, Director Goonan, you're talking about going to exceed the amount of the delegation. Will that continue? Do you think that trend will continue? That we will continue to need to employ additional, particularly in field services and in ways? Will that sort of trend continue into the future?
It is not our expectation that it will continue. There was a short period of time where we had a number of vacancies, particularly within the field services area. And as everyone, all ratepayers know, they like to have their potholes filled and their roads graded, etc. So we took advantage of this tender to continue that work, but we do not see it continuing on, although it is quite clear that over the 5-year period it will now exceed the $500,000 CEO delegation.
Okay, thank you. All right, councillors, Councillor Benton's moved and Councillor Fitzpatrick, neither of you wish to speak. Does anyone else wish to speak to the recommendation? If we're all in agreement, councillors? Thank you. It's been moved. We now move to item 15.1, Sustainability and Culture, C95, Amendment Mooryu Township Development Plan, consideration of submissions and next steps in the amendment process. Director of Sustainability and Culture.
Thank you, Mayor, and a warm welcome to those from Mooryu in the gallery tonight. Thank you for coming. The Mooryu Township Development Plan was prepared and adopted by Council in 2024 to provide an overall direction for growth and redevelopment in the town. This amendment C95 proposes to now implement the key recommendations of that development plan into the Wangaratta planning scheme. Those amendments include local policy, rezoning of land and application of overlays to achieve the objectives that were set out in the Township Development Plan. Amendment C95 was publicly exhibited formally between the 20th of November to the 22nd of November, and Council received, and Council received 5 submissions in total, all from authorities. And proposed changes have been included in the attachments to address this feedback. So the report is presented to councillors, and if you can scroll down a little to have the full recommendation on the screen. But in summary, for councillors to consider those submission and the proposed changes resulting from those to approve for the amendment to be submitted to the Minister for Planning for approval, to allow for any final changes to be made to the adopted documents so they can be finally gazetted, and to notify all submitters of Council's decision. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Brindley. Do I have a question from the audience on this particular item? Okay. Councillors, we have a recommendation. Councillor Bussey, would like to move? Someone to second, please. Councillor Benton. Thank you. Councillor Bussell, would you like to speak?
Yes, thanks, Madam Mayor. This has been a long process, a very long process. Firstly, I want to thank the community for supporting the rezoning. Moyue residents love their town and they've been very supportive of this. Also, I'd like to thank the staff, the planning staff, who've just done so much work. It's just tireless, the work that goes into doing something like this. And so, thank you to the council staff. This rezoning, and with one more step after today, presuming we all vote positively, this has the opportunity to make Moyue and the King Valley just a magnificent place. The opportunities will be amazing, I think. So, thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Bussell. Councillor Benton, would you like to speak?
No, I don't think I could leave that.
No, and I think Councillor Bussell is certainly correct in saying that this has been a long time coming, and it's actually also the beginning of a very exciting future for a little village like Moyue. I think it's got a lot going for it. It's got assets that other communities look upon with envy. They've got a pub, they've got a general store, they've got a cafe, a number of things, a recreation reserve. It's a community that really does punch above its weight in so many ways. So it's something that it needs to now go to the Minister for their consideration. So it's the beginning of a fairly exciting future. So, councillors, if no one else wishes to speak, we have the recommendation moved by Councillor Bussell, seconded by Councillor Benton, and we're all in agreement. Thank you, councillors. That's been carried. Thank you for the Moyue audience. We now move to item 15.2, which is the planning application 25096, 16 Depot Road, Bowser, use and development of land for warehousing, including shipping, container storage and store. Director of Sustainability and Culture, once again.
Thank you. So this report is presented to Council to make a determination on whether to grant or refuse a retrospective planning permit application for the use and development of the land at 16 Depot Road, Bowser, for warehousing, including shipping, container storage and store. Notice of the application was given to adjoining and surrounding landowners and occupiers, and 5 objections have been received. The recommendation to Council is to issue a notice of refusal on the grounds set out in the attached officer's report. Those reasons include consideration of the detrimental impact to the visual landscape, character and amenity, and that the proposed application lacks a sympathetic design response to it being located in a township entry. Also, that the proposed use is not considered to be compatible with the context of the site and surrounds. And again, the recommendation is on the screen for council consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Brindley. Do we have a question from the audience on this particular item? If not, councillors, we need someone like to move. Councillor Winters, thank you. Someone to second. Councillor Benton. Councillor Winters, would you like to speak to this? Councillor Benton.
I just agree with the officer's report in relation to what the reasons behind it. It's all very well to say no to something, but I think you've got to always put an argument up why and reasoning, and I think they're there, they're very clear there in this area. I think it now gives council some time there to move forward what we're actually going to do with the parcel plan. I know we don't own it, but going forward it's landlocked. We've got to make a decision in the future. I think the zoning's not right for that area, but it gives us a chance now to do something.
It certainly does, and I think you're correct in saying it's not just simply saying no, it's giving reasons for that no. Councillor Bustle.
Yes, thanks, Madam Mayor. I'm acutely aware how sensitive planning can be, and this is a very, very sensitive planning matter, and I believe that it's the wrong business in the wrong place, and I fully agree with the recommendation, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councillors, anyone else wish to make a comment? If not, we have a recommendation that's been moved by Councillor Winters and seconded by Councillor Benton. Is everyone in agreement? Thank you. The recommendation's been moved as a motion. We now move to item 18.1, which is the minutes of advisory committee meetings, and I'll ask the CEO interim to give a summary.
Thank you. Minutes of advisory committee meetings are reported to council for information. In this instance, the minutes of the September 2025 Audit and Risk Committee meeting is attached to the council agenda for noting.
Thank you, Stephen. We have a recommendation. Councillors, would someone like to move? Councillor Fitzpatrick. Someone to second? Councillor Benton, you're doing well today. Does anyone wish to speak? So moved by Councillor Fitzpatrick and seconded by Councillor Benton. Are we all in agreement, councillors? Thank you. Alrighty, we now move to item. We've got no notices of motion, no urgent business, although all our business is urgent. Public question time, item number 21. And we have got a question from Mrs. G.R. Vincent, and I'll ask Sarah to read and answer the question, please.
I don't think she's in the room.
No.
So the question, thank you, Mayor, received was to the Wangaratta Council, approving hundreds of housing. My question is this: where in heavens is all the water for servicing each home here in Wangaratta coming from? Lake Buffalo has never been enlarged, which should have been done 60 years ago. Also, the sewerage works cannot take all the sewage, so where to from here? Seems to me there are some very narrow-minded councillors in council. My response, just to provide some insight into that, is that so water and sewerage services for Wangaratta are managed by North East Water, not directly by council. The water supply for Wangaratta and Glenrowan comes from some diverse sources, including the Ovens River, 15 Mile Creek and groundwater. And North East Water also manages sewerage services for Wangaratta through its 2 wastewater treatment plants. They actually currently have a growth servicing plan that sets out their planned capital investment for the future reticulated services provision, and that's available for Mrs. Vincent to view if she wishes. From the aspects that council does directly influence and to plan responsibly for growth, council consults actively with North East Water and other authorities, and developers are always encouraged to engage early with North East Water. Council will also assess the subsequent planning applications to confirm that appropriate water and sewerage systems are included before new dwellings are approved.
Thank you, Director Lee. A question from Mr. Fox.
I'll read those for you, thank you. So 2 questions from Adrian Fox. The first is, he says, I suggest that the planned implementation of the 10 parking machines will enable non-app users, and especially visitors and tourists who are unlikely to already have the app, that's the Easy Park app, downloaded, to quickly work out how to otherwise pay their parking. Question is, could you please advise the planned implementation date of the 10 parking machines? So response to that is that the procurement process is currently underway and nearing completion. Council officers anticipate the installation of the machines will be completed within the next 2 to 3 months, and we'll be able to confirm that once the supplier has been, or the tender has been awarded and the supplier confirms their timeframes. Question part 2. If it's okay, I might just go to the question because there was some preamble to that, which was, does Council plan to make a further response to the 2025 parking petition? So the petition was formally received at the 25th of November Council meeting, instructing the CEO to provide a report about the request within the petition to be considered at a future scheduled Council meeting. That report was presented to the 16th of December Council meeting, where Council formally considered the petition and resolved to continue with paid parking in the CBD and amend the parking payment system with the installation of 10 car parking payment machines, which was as referred to in the previous question. Council has taken the position that the installation of parking machines and revised parking arrangements represents the practical response to the petition's core concerns. Council will continue to monitor the outcomes, including CBD usage, visitor access and trader impacts, and as stated, it remains open to reviewing parking arrangements based on operational data and community feedback in the future.
Thank you, Director. Now, the audience, is there a question that you wish to direct? Come forward, state your name, and ask your question.
So Anne Dunstan of Tarangi. I just wanted to give some positive feedback about small differences that make our CBD look and present well. I'd like to congratulate the staff on the line marking around the car parking that they have been doing. Whilst it's very small, it does make an improvement. My question around that is also, was there some consideration about the car parks and actual self in relation to our beautiful trees that we have in the CBD? Some of those car parks are very hard to access because they're very narrow, very close to very big trees. So before line marking occurred, one would assume that you would assess those spaces before you painted fresh lines on ground.
Thanks for your question. So Council adopted a position some 5 or so years ago now that we would not remove parking from the CBD, so we would hold the status quo as it was. We've continued with that approach, so the line marking is there as it is and it's gone back in the same spots. When we do street upgrades, which we certainly have future plans for doing right throughout the CBD, and you would have seen that in Hutton Street, Faithful Street as well, when we do that work, we then kind of assess the trees and look at the parking, and that might be the only time you might see the odd park move or additional work done to facilitate tree growth, those type of things. It's definitely something we're very aware of. It's trying to strike that balance between parking and the trees.
I'll just lose weight so I can get at my door. And my second question is, as part of that beautification of our CBD, is that I think we're currently moving from burgundy to grey, or is the grey an undercoat? So our rubbish bins, our light poles, etc. are currently being painted a colour which isn't burgundy, and I don't know whether that's an undercoat or whether we're moving forward to a new colour within the CBD.
I don't know whether it's an undercoat either, if I'm being honest. The reality is, though, that we have a urban design framework which quite clearly sets out what the various colours are in the various areas of various things. There's a lot of variances in there. But that will have been followed. And I know that staff member knows about that because we didn't quite get it right on Faithful Street. We had to go back and repaint a light pole there. So it's certainly been followed as per the urban design framework that was adopted by council, probably back about the same time as we adopted the parking piece.
It's just odd to see half the light pole painted greyish and then the top of the pole is.
Yeah, I'm happy to come back to you on whether that's undercoat or not.
No, that's all right. Thank you.
Thank you for taking notice, Ian. Is there another question from the audience? If not, I'll move to item 23, which is the closure of the meeting, and thank everyone for their attendance here.